Cortisol is an incredible hormone. I cannot handle. In fact, I'm going to talk to my team about putting some content out on our social channels about how much I love cortisol because I can't handle how much negative press cortisol is getting when it's a life force hormone. Let me repeat, we would be dead without cortisol. So it's not a bad hormone. It's the hormone that wakes you up in the morning. It's the hormone that comes to the rescue when your blood sugar's all helter-skelter. It's the hormone who's like coming to save the day. And then because we see that there's a lot of cortisol when it's coming to save the day, we demonize it. We're like, oh no, cortisol. But it was the trigger, not the cortisol. That's like demonizing the fireman for the fire. If there's a fireman at every fire, you're like, oh no, the fireman, kill the fireman. You're like, no, it's the fire. It's the fire. Does that make sense? Right? I see a few of you nodding. It's like, yeah, that's so, but there is something to be said about the aftermath. If firemen are everywhere, there's bound to be, because fires are everywhere, they're trying to help you. There's definitely some negative downstream effects of too much cortisol or too little cortisol. But when cortisol is optimal, which I guarantee many of you are experiencing more optimal cortisol than you're giving yourself credit for, then what you're going to see, I'm going to put cortisol in brown. Cortisol should look like this. An optimal cortisol curve starts in the morning. You produce cortisol. And then as the day goes on, as you're getting ready for bed, cortisol starts to decrease. And then by the time you go to bed, it's at its low point. This is an optimal cortisol curve.